Mia Rockman's story begins on the Croatian island of Korčula, a place of stone houses, olive groves, and the smell of salt carried in from the Adriatic. Born in the late 1990s, she grew up surrounded by the rhythm of small-town life, where everyone knew one another, and summers stretched endlessly under the Mediterranean sun. She was an active, outdoors child, swimming, dancing, playing tennis, and joining in any sport that would let her feel the thrill of motion. That mix of discipline and spontaneity would later shape the way she carried herself on international stages. Her parents encouraged both academics and curiosity. They wanted their daughter to see the world beyond the island, to pursue education, and to understand that beauty alone is never enough. When Mia moved to Zagreb for her studies in sanitary and health engineering, she was one of many young Croatians balancing the pull of ambition and the nostalgia for home. The capital brought new experiences, long hours of lectures, part-time work, independence, and the first steps toward understanding how public health systems affect ordinary lives. Pageants had not been part of her childhood plan, yet, like many people whose paths shift unexpectedly, she entered a local contest almost by chance. Friends and family told her she had the poise and energy for it. What began as a side adventure turned into a serious commitment as she realized that competitions like Miss Universe Croatia valued not only appearance, but also intellect, communication skills, and social engagement. Preparing for that world demanded more than charm. It meant mastering interviews, understanding current affairs, learning how to stand tall under pressure, and above all, defining what she stood for. In 2019, at only 21, Mia Rockman was crowned Miss Universe Croatia. The crown glittered under the lights of Zagreb's Hotel Esplanade, and the audience erupted in applause. For the young woman from Korčula, it was a surreal moment. Cameras flashing, national pride swelling. Her name suddenly headlined news across Croatian media. The judges had seen something rare, a combination of intelligence, authenticity, and quiet determination. Winning the title was the start of a demanding year. Representing Croatia at Miss Universe required intense preparation, wardrobe planning, cultural training, public speaking, fitness, and learning how to balance self-promotion with humility. Each appearance carried the unspoken responsibility of representing not just herself, but an entire country on a global stage. Mia approached it like a professional athlete approaches a season, with routine, self-discipline, and the conviction that small habits build greatness. When she arrived in Atlanta later that year for the international pageant, she faced 90 other contestants from around the world, each with their own story and style. What set Mia apart was her composure. Reporters described her as warm but measured, approachable but focused. During rehearsals, she helped others practice choreography and shared tips she had learned back home. When she walked on the stage in the preliminaries, her presence was confident without arrogance. That balance impressed judges and viewers alike. When the final results were announced, Mia Rockman placed among the top 20 finalists, an achievement that instantly elevated her status at home. Croatia, a small country with limited representation on such global platforms, celebrated her as a symbol of modern elegance and substance. Newspapers called her the Queen with Invisible Strength, a nod to her quote that resonated across social media. "If I fall, I know that I'll stand up, fix my invisible crown, and keep walking." That line captured her philosophy. It wasn't rehearsed. It was the kind of sentence that comes from genuine experience, from the understanding that grace is not the absence of failure, but the ability to recover from it. After her Miss Universe year, Mia could have pursued modeling full-time, moving into the whirlwind of fashion weeks and international contracts. Instead, she stayed committed to her studies in health engineering. She often said that she wanted to use her platform to promote wellness and sustainability, to show that pageantry and science could coexist. It was an unusual choice and a powerful one. While many assumed her reign would end with glamorous endorsements, she chose to work in public health. In 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, Mia volunteered at the Andrija Stamper Institute of Public Health in Zagreb. While many public figures retreated from the spotlight, she put on protective gear and worked with medical teams registering patients for testing and helping with logistics. Photos circulated of the former Miss Universe Croatia at a testing center. No gown, no makeup, just focus. It was one of the most powerful images of her career because it redefined what beauty queens could represent: service, solidarity, and resilience. Her experience in public health deepened her awareness of how fragile communities can be and how much difference empathy makes. She later spoke about that period as the moment she truly understood what responsibility meant. Beauty titles fade, but the ability to serve others stays. Over the next few years, Mia balanced public appearances with her professional goals. She collaborated with local fashion designers, promoted Croatian tourism, and advocated for women's self-confidence beyond stereotypes. Her social media presence grew steadily, not from viral scandals, but from authenticity. She shared glimpses of her life on Korčula, her love of the sea, her dog, her workouts, and messages about health and kindness. Her followers described her feed as a breath of Adriatic air, fresh, calm, and natural. In interviews, she often reflected on what the title had taught her. She said once, "People think the title changes you, but the real challenge is to stay the same person when everyone treats you differently." That groundedness became her trademark. By the mid-2020s, she had become part of a new generation of European public figures who blend science, advocacy, and fashion. When Lebanon, Italy, or Greece host Mediterranean cultural festivals, Mia is often invited to appear as a guest or speaker. She uses those platforms to talk about sustainable tourism, clean water initiatives, and the importance of sports for young girls. She never positions herself as an unreachable celebrity, but as a relatable role model, someone who remembers her island roots. Her personal life, though mostly private, occasionally makes headlines. In 2025, she announced her engagement in a simple, romantic ceremony on Korčula. Photos showed her barefoot on the beach, smiling, a modest ring glinting in the evening light. The caption read, "Forever begins where it all started." It captured her essence, elegant, genuine, and connected to home. Financially, Mia's success comes from modeling contracts, brand collaborations, and speaking engagements, though she avoids the excess associated with celebrity culture. Her net worth, while not publicly confirmed, is modest compared to global influencers, but she values balance over wealth. Friends describe her as organized, early rising, and happiest when she's near the sea. Mia Rockman's impact goes beyond crowns and headlines. She represents a quieter kind of success, the kind that combines ambition with humility. Her generation grew up with the internet, where fame can be instant and fleeting. She has shown that authenticity outlasts algorithms. In Croatia, she has become a symbol of national pride not for scandal or drama, but for discipline and empathy. Schools sometimes invite her to talk about perseverance. Health organizations cite her as an example of how young professionals can bridge glamour and service. When she appears on talk shows, she speaks not just as a beauty queen, but as a citizen who believes in science and kindness. Looking back on her journey, it's striking how much of Mia's identity revolves around transformation, geographical, personal, and emotional. From an island girl who watched cruise ships pass by to a global ambassador who traveled across continents, her path mirrors Croatia's own evolution, small in size, but rich in spirit. The rhythm of her life still follows the tides of Korčula. When she visits home, locals greet her not as a celebrity, but as our Mia. She walks through the narrow streets, stops for coffee, chats with fishermen. The familiarity grounds her. It reminds her that titles are temporary, but integrity lasts. If there is a single thread connecting all the chapters of her life, student, athlete, beauty queen, volunteer, it's resilience. She has fallen, stood up, and fixed her invisible crown more than once. She has faced the pressure of international judgment, the noise of social media, and the uncertainty of growing up under the world's gaze. And she has turned each challenge into quiet confidence. In a world that celebrates speed and spectacle, Mia Rockman stands for something slower and more enduring, the grace of consistency. She reminds people that success does not always roar.